Hello FlossTube, my name is Jess. I am Jess Crafts Stitches here on YouTube and jess.crafts.stitches over on Instagram. Welcome to my channel about cross stitch, or welcome back if you've been here before. I thank you for taking some time to spend with me today, checking out my cross stitch. I wanted to give you an update for the end of May, although we're quite a few days into June at this point, but I fully finished all of the pieces that I had as my goal for the month of May, and so I wanted to take a moment to share them with you. So last time I shared a video, I talked about what my goals for May were. I picked 3 pieces that I wanted to focus on, stitch, finish in the month of May. And I was able to complete them all, and that also completes all of my personal cross-stitch goals for 2025. I have some frames that I display around my home, this being one of them, and I change them out seasonally or monthly, depending on my stitches. And so this frame holds my Primrose Cottage Quakers, which I finish very simply. And this is the Winter Quaker that I stitched in May. It is stitched on 16 count Tycho by Picture This Plus, which has a little bit, it's like mostly white with a little bit of blue mottling in it. I don't think that's really picking up on camera, but I really like how that worked for this piece. And I stitched it with Weeks Dye Works Battleship. I believe it's called for in Classic Colorworks Battleship. It's the same, the thread, it has the same name, but it's from 2 different companies. And I had seen Battleship in my local needlework shop, and for whatever reason, the Weeks Dye Works version, and I was like, oh, I think that will look great. And Tycho was a fabric that I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with when I purchased it, because I didn't realize that it was like this white-blue combination, but I am so happy with how this turned out. I do tend to have a little bit more of like a bright colors style than this, but I think it worked really well for winter. And so when I talk about like changing out pieces, what I mean is like, so this frame, I have the Spring Quaker, so I can pull it off. These are the Scotch 3M picture hanging strips that I put on the back of them. So they don't like pull at the fabric, and they're not like metal or magnets that it can be kind of heavy. These work really well for me personally. So I have the Spring Quaker, the Autumn Quaker, and the Honeybee Quaker, which I use for summertime. And so that's one for each season. I do also have the Valentine Quaker stitched. Oh, that's upside down. And I do hope to stitch more. Like I plan to stitch the Halloween Quaker one day, but now I have something for every season, and then I can just add to it. Like I can add the Christmas Quaker and display that in December, but until I finish that, I have the Winter Quaker to display. So I was very happy with that goal, accomplishing that. My next stitch for the month of May was Winter ABCs by Lizzie Kate, but this is different than how it is charted. So the original Winter ABCs looks like this. I think this is the called for colors. It's on, I want to say Picture This Plus gingerbread, but it's pretty Christmassy. And so I decided I would restitch it and make it less Christmassy and more winter. Now, of course, I could have maybe finished it different or picked different colors and just had made one winter stitch, but I like the Christmas too. And so you can see they're quite similar, but some things that I did differently was I took out the like ribbon that goes around the tree, and I took the star off the tree. But I kept the mitten, I stitched the letters the same, but I just made some slight changes. I put a little bit of like kind of like snowflakes or perhaps stars around the top to kind of fill in some of that extra space that was left from eliminating the star. But now I feel like this is very clearly winter. This is stitched on 16 count Picture This Plus Mirage, which I did stitch a number of other winter type things on, so it'll fit really well with my other winter pieces. I used Weeks Dye Works Hunter for the tree, Fathom and Blue Bonnet. Fathom I believe is the dark blue and Blue Bonnet is the light blue. I just have to kind of play around with it a little bit. I changed them from what I thought I was going to stitch on them. And then I used DMC 435 because there was just a tiny bit of it for the brown trunk and then DMC B5200 for the white, since again, there's not very much of it, but it stands out really well on this fabric. And so these are the two versions of winter ABCs. And as I mentioned, I have all the rest of the seasons. So this is spring. It is a little Eastery, especially with that Easter egg there, but I don't mind leaving it out all spring. And then there is the autumn ABCs, which is a pumpkin. And so that to me works all season. And then I do have, oh, here it is, the summer ABCs, which is the flag and the watermelon. So I like that for all summer long. And so now I consider this series complete, and I am very happy with this series as well. I love a good alphabet sampler, and these ones from Lizzie Kate were really quick and fun to stitch. My final goal for the month of May was Nibblers by Petal Pusher, and I have this in a Chantel's 141, I want to say maybe on the edge, like display board. It's not really that, like display piece, which I painted and assembled, and I change out the little decorations in the bottom depending on the piece on the top. And so this was, again, the last one that I needed to complete the seasonal set. So I have some fake strawberries and a little shovel in here, but I changed it out. Like for the spring, I had the carrots and some little carrots in the foliage instead. It's like, I guess that's like moss, like fake moss there. I have the pumpkins. I can't remember what the names of all of these are. I think this is Rascals and this is Troublemakers, Nibblers, and then this one might just be called Winter Friends. But so now I have one for each season, which makes me super happy. I like that this is very wintry and not particularly Christmas, but it does have a lot of hints of Christmas in it because it is green and red. And I know that Petal Pusher, Barbara, I think that's her name. So the designer behind Petal Pusher designed one for, I want to say like Scarlet Skies box that had like kitties and tombstones, something like that. And I do think I'd like to stitch that one day, but I didn't necessarily want to purchase the entire box. So if it's ever released as an additional pattern, or if she makes ones that are a little bit more holiday specific, I would certainly be open to stitching more from this series. They are really fun to stitch. This one was probably, I don't know, maybe not, but like I think I would call it the hardest one. This one was probably the fastest to stitch because the trees are very simple, and stitching all the little like details in here, but they are, you know, the same basic design across. But it turned out really cute. I was very happy to have it finished. I'm happy to put it out with my summer items, and yeah, these are all stitched. All of them are stitched on the same 16 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, the entire series. I have two more fully finished objects. In the month of May, I decided to take a break from some of my larger stitches that I was doing, because again, for me, a large stitch is, the winter Quaker is a bit of a bigger one. So I've stitched these tiny ones that took like a day, not even a whole day, but like, a small, much smaller stitching session. This is a freebie called Halloween Kitty, and it is from Snail Fish's Stitches. I stitched it twice on Picture This Plus 16 count Fathom. The stitch is 28 by 39, but as you can see, not the most solid stitch either. I did it in the called for DMC, except I switched 996 to 995 because it's what I had. It's just the blue color, the bright blue, and it's only just a few stitches here and there. And then I finished them as some really simple ornaments. I stitched two of them because one is for my sister. And Phantom by Picture This Plus, I really liked it. And it's nice because it has this like variegation that makes it look like a night sky. So I ordered a new piece, and the second piece that I received has a lot more purple in it. So this is a very blue version of Phantom, but there are some, I got a piece that had some purple, like a little bit of purple, and then my second piece had a lot more purple. So I just thought I would mention that in case if you only get to order your fabric online, you don't always get to know what it's going to be like, and you might get a piece that can be kind of different. Like I had a piece of Wren once that was much more green, and then the next piece was much more brown. So I thought I would mention that variation that I saw in that particular piece. I had a finish that I haven't fully finished yet. I do tend to, and I do have plans to fully finish this soon. This is a free pattern from the Disney Family blog, and there are 2 patterns in it. So this is from Stitch, like the movie Lilo and Stitch, and there is this pattern here, Ohana means family, which is a like famous quote from the movie, and there is also a pattern of like Stitch himself. And I know the live action movie came out recently, so if you're a fan, my mom is a fan, and so this is for her. And I just figured I stitched it on 14 count Zweigart white opal. So it's quite shiny. Kind of move it around so you can see that in the light. I don't normally stitch on 14 count, but I just thought like my mom would like this fabric. And I did stitch it in Étoile DMCs. So I don't think it told you what colors to use in the pattern, but basically it was a light blue, a dark blue, and a pink. So I picked Étoile, light blue, dark blue, pink. I did C603, C995, and C519. If you are curious about stitching with Étoile inks, which are a glittery, not inks, a floss, sorry. I also paper craft, so I use ink as well. I feel like you're seeing the glitter in the fabric, but not the glitter in the floss. But it's a shiny floss, a glittery floss. And I do have an entire video where I talk about Étoile floss because I've stitched with it a number of times, and I find it to be actually quite easy to work with. I really enjoy it. So that is my other finish that shall be a fully finish soon. So since I finished a couple of different series, I only have like 1 pending series in my stitches right at the moment, which is the Just Cross Stitch magazine, Curious Carry design. It's designed by Curious Carry Designs, and it's being released in each seasonal issue of Just Cross Stitch magazine. And it's a like sampler series that's in the round. I showed it previously. The first one that I finished, the spring one. The spring one does have bees though. And my summer, I display my bee stitches in the summer. So I kind of like the spring one for summer. And so I haven't stitched the summer yet. I probably will one day. I really love the fall and winter. So I'll definitely be stitching those when they come out. But I decided to start a new series. This is Robin Pickens' Seasonal Courier Blue Jay Summer. This has been very popular. I've watched several other people stitch them. I think they look great. And I already have the Paisleys and Polka Dots calendar to finish them in. Sarah from Sarah's Stitchery finished it that way, and I want to say Emma from B&E Stitchery finished some of them that way as well, if I'm remembering correctly. But other people have stitched them, and I am stitching it on 16 count Chai from Seraphim, and I do have I've already put aside all of the pieces of Chai that I will need so that I won't run out, and they'll all be like a similar dye lot essentially. So I think they're all from one larger piece of Chai so that they'll look the same. Not that they'll ever be displayed next to each other, so they don't need to. And as you saw previously, I am not afraid to like finish different ones in the series with different fabrics. I just thought that these ones I went with a more neutral fabric so that these bright colors that Robin Pickens Designs have chosen will really stand out on the neutral fabric. And so I've got a good little start here on this one. It is still a little bit like bigger of a piece for me. I don't stitch particularly large pieces. It is 66 by 95, which again, not a large piece, but for me on a larger side. But I like working with the DMC, because it's so simple. And some of the repeated design elements, I think, will allow the rest. I think the flower, I'll have to be careful and take my time with. But I'm hoping the border things, because they have some repetition in the design, some of that will stitch up a little bit faster. But hopefully I'll finish this before the end of the summer and have a new piece to start displaying. And this is stored in a bag from Como Stitches, which I picked up because it had birds and nature on it. And I do a lot of, I enjoy stitching that involves nature elements in it, but I knew I was going to stitch this whole series. And so for a year, this bag could be full of my seasonal Couriers. I have 2 more whips I want to share, just like small updates on each of them. This is Silver Creek Sampler Camper Sampler, and I was able to stitch 1 more set of the words when we did our first little overnight camping trip of the season. So it might be nice to kind of try to get in, like, there's like a bunch of different lines of the sampler, and so maybe trying to add 1 each trip or something like that. But you know, just I'm not opposed to working on it at home, but it is the project that I bring with me, and it's stitched in DMC, so it's, you know, easy to pull out and that kind of thing. It's on 16 count Mirage by Picture This Plus. Another piece that I pulled back out was the Autumn Alphabet by Willow Hill Sampling, stitched on 16 count Wren by Picture This Plus. I'm starting basically with the border. I know I put a few letters in there, but I was like, before I go to intense on there, I need to make sure that the border meets up. So that's what I've been working on, stitching around the border. And I think I'm going to come up with a single line here and then go back and add the details, just to make sure that I don't have to pull out too much stitching if I mess something up. Again, a little bit on the bigger side for me. So I have 2 large for me, Halloween pieces that I want to work on, or that I want to eventually have. And so I thought, well, since I've completed so many of my goals for this year already, that I would maybe create a larger goal, because like I've done a lot of smalls, to finish one of my larger pieces. And so I think that I'm going to try for the Autumn Alphabet. It is the smaller of the 2, and it's a sampler. I mean, they're both letter samplers, but yeah, that's kind of my hope, is that I will continue to pull this out and make some progress on it so that I can finish one of my 2 bigger stitches. I did finish the Possum Halloween, which I guess was a pretty similar size, so that was a bigger one for me too. I have a tendency to start a lot of Halloween because I love Halloween, but I am more willing to say yes to a big Halloween project than a lot of other themes. That sampler, the camper sampler, is also quite large for me, but I'm just taking my time with them and enjoying the process. I do wish that the black that I was using was a bit more variegated around the edge, because I do think that's what makes this piece look really pretty, and there's like, it has that sort of the vintage look of the different colors or whatever. I don't know. I just like, I think a more variegated floss would have been ideal for this piece, but I do think that solid black border is looking really excellent and really providing a nice frame for this design. I'm not going to share any haul or anything like that. I'm going to keep it really quick, just focus on the stitching today. Thank you for taking some time to join me. If you liked what you saw, if you like seeing lots of smalls and finishes, I would love for you to like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for taking time to spend with me today. I know your time is valuable. I love to hear more about your stitching too. If there are certain series that you've enjoyed, or like with the Quakers, I haven't stitched, I do want to stitch some more of them. I really enjoyed the winter Quaker. The Valentine Quaker was a little bit challenging for me, but the winter one was really fun to stitch. So let me know what your favorite Quaker is, because I need to stitch a few more of them I want to add to that collection. So again, thanks for your time, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.